What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Talking Elite Fitness. I'm Sean Woodland with Lauren Khalil and Tommy Marquez. How's everybody doing in this short work week?
Getting ready for all the good foods.
Nice. Fantastic.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm freezing, though. It has been cold.
It's been cold.
Today.
It was cold yesterday. Like, I needed I was like, man, my cheeks are a little...
What was it, like 65?
No, well, it was about, I think where I was, it was in the 50s.
Us with wind, it was 41.
Yeah, it picked up a little bit. There was a little bite in the air.
41's cold.
Yeah, it was a little bite in the air. So
You need yourself a heated blanket for inside.
Oh, I got that.
That's what I'm
weighted
under
blanket
right now.
Oh, nice. Good call.
Well, for me, because I'm outside the whole time. So while we're out working on the house, it's the wind. Like if it's just cold, it's fine. If it's cold and wind, I know it's cold. My father-in-law has Raynaud's, which is like it's when I know he has to go put on gloves because he can't feel his hands. That's when I'm like, okay, yeah, we're in that territory. But
I'm sorry, I'm watching my dog battle a couch cushion right now.
Who's winning? Who's got the upper hand? Upper paw.
I think Dozer's looking pretty good here, but he can't find it. It's like this is a fits, I sits type thing. I think he's going to wedge himself between the back of the couch and the couch because he's got it, bud. You'll get in there. We'll see if he gives up. Anyway, got some stuff to talk about today. We're going to talk about some of the latest sale rumors that are going on with CrossFit. I did some digging, talked to some people, have some things I can update you on. Nothing really super on the record, but got some clarity on some stuff. There's been some rule changes around the CrossFit Game season that we're going to talk about, and World Fitness Project continues to adjust things for the finals that are taking place, the week before Christmas, right? In Copenhagen. All right. Yep. But before we do that, got a couple sponsors we want to thank. First is Thirdsy, and want to remind you guys about their Black Friday sale where you can save up to 50% off all on site-wide. It starts Friday, November 28th, runs through Tuesday, December 2nd. And if you use our code at checkout, so during this time, our code TEF, you'll get free shipping on your order on top of the site-wide savings that you're going to get. So if you've been sort of on the fence about maybe getting on the Thirdsy train, this Friday for the Black Friday sale is the time to do it. They're going to have, again, huge sales site-wide. Then you plug in our code, you're going to get free shipping. So it's basically like they are paying you to try their rest and recovery collagen, which it's phenomenal. Like, it's great stuff. I love it. We swear by it. Like, it's something that I'm just going to, it's made a huge difference in my sleep and recovery routine. It's a powder that you take at night, just mix it up in some cold water, drink it. It tastes fantastic. It's got GABA, L-theanine, magnesium in it. Doesn't have any melatonin in it, so it's not habit forming. And of course, it has collagen protein that helps you recover better while you're sleeping. The ingredients that I mentioned prior, those help calm your central nervous system, allow you to get to sleep faster, stay asleep longer, and get the most out of your sleep. So again, the Thirdsy Black Friday sale, check them out, Thirdsy.com. They have savings up to 50% off site-wide, and our code TEF gets you free shipping, okay?
And as of this moment, they still have the salted chocolate caramel available, but with this sale, that one could go out like hotcakes, and when it's done, it's done.
Get on it.
I actually got a little wild last night. I mixed the two.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have myself like one of those like chocolate dipped dessert strawberries, so I can combine the strawberry lemonade with the salted chocolate. Some people might have been like, well, actually, my wife was a little skeptical, just because I just like to mix things, and it was pretty good actually. I enjoyed it. I'd do it again.
What was the liquid base you used?
I might water. I might adjust the ratios a little bit. I felt like the chocolate, salted caramel chocolate, dominated the exchange, much like Dozer with that couch cushion.
Yeah, he gave up.
I'd probably go a little bit more strawberry lemonade on top just to make it a little bit more fruit with a hint of chocolate. Give it a try.
All right. Another thing we want you to give a try. So that's Thirdsy.com. Check them out. Everyone loves shoes, right? CrossFitters love shoes.
Shoes.
If you know, look,
let's get some
a brand
shoes.
that
Do
was
you guys
like
remember that YouTube video?
I don't.
OG. That is one of the first viral videos.
Okay. Anyway, Reebok has been around since the beginning, and let's put this bad boy up. Blam. There it is. That's the new trainer that they have coming out. So they're going to introduce the new Nano X5 Edge training shoe that is going to be available at Reebok.com starting December 5th. Here's what you can expect to get when you buy the Nano X5 Edge Tech. Engineered FlexWeave upper for improved fit, feel, and breathability. A dual-response EVA midsole that offers zoned durometer foam that is cushioned and responsive in the forefoot while firmer and more stable in the rear. Decoupled Metasplit outsole creates enhanced flexibility and runnability. Performance Comfort Collar provides a 360-degree locked-in fit for all-day support and comfort. And the drop and the weight, it's a 7-millimeter drop and 11.8 ounces. Check it out.
Whew.
Yeah.
Man, you know me, Sean. If I have my Metasplit outsoles, I only want them decoupled.
Of course. No, there's no other way to have your Metasplit.
Right up my alley. Not to mention, they look pretty good. Lauren, this is like your colorway.
No, that's cool. I could rock those. I like I think red and black is a strong combination.
It's powerful.
Those are like a berry pink, but
yeah. All right, I'll call it red and black.
I'd like to see you rock those.
I don't know what berry pink is. That's red and black. Okay. Let's not get into these other like sea foam and all these crazy ass colors or London fog or
viral dress.
Morning cappuccino or whatever
white
crap you're trying
periwinkle.
Yeah, no. It's light brown, whatever. Red. That's what we're going with, all right, for the sake of argument.
Mac and cheese orange.
Reebok.com. Those things are available on December 5th. Okay, let's get into it. Where do we want to start? How about some of the changes that are that were announced? Morning Chalk Up posted this the other day. I'll try to I'll call it up here. Let me put it on screen. About some things that have been adjusted for the 2026 season. So this was the Instagram post, and the headline was medical screenings, no geofencing, and more info for the 2026 season. So I'll just summarize what's in the post, the key takeaways. So the CrossFit Athlete Council has held 12 meetings since January and promotes transparency by publicly sharing meeting notes, including attendees and discussion topics. Okay. A medical eligibility screening requirement will be introduced for the 2026 season. I think that's great. Love that. According to Heather Lawrence, CrossFit's Senior Director of Sport Operations, strict geofencing will not be allowed. So teams and individuals may compete in semifinals outside their region. Put a pin in that because I want to talk about that one. And in 2026, affiliate owners will be able to purchase open registrations in bulk for their members. So love that.
Cool.
Yeah, great I think that's great. I think that's fantastic. That encourages, encourages signups, participation, takes it into the affiliates. I think that's we got Tommy covered up here, so let me stop sharing. But anyway,
no, it's okay. I don't mind. I was just peeking over.
Yeah, peeking over the graphic. Anyway, so 2 out of 3. I love the medical screening thing. I mean, that's part of, I think any competitive sport has that. Hell, you used to have a passive physical before you could play high school sports.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that will
turn and cough, baby.
Yep. Anything that will help you, prevent any sort of medical emergency that you can screen beforehand to detect. I am all for it. I think that's just shows that they are committed, I think, to continue to enhance their safety procedures. So that's a win. I like that one.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't really foresee it being much of an issue. but the upside is that it could possibly unearth some things that maybe athletes didn't know about themselves. Mm-hmm. We've I know personal experience through medical screenings at my high school alma mater that we had for our athletes and kids. Multiple kids with genetic heart issues popped up that they had no clue that were missed during the early stages of their childhood, that they said probably was existent at birth, but was possibly overlooked due to the size and shape of a kid's heart at that time. So, and it could have potentially saved their lives, because if you're, high impact sports like football, basketball, that puts a lot of stress there. Yeah. So the potential upside is that could it save somebody's life, which I'm all for.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's a huge win.
Right.
It actually surprises me that we haven't implemented that sooner.
Mm-hmm.
But better late than never.
Yeah, I mean it's also the reason why we have IEDs in every gym, or at least you should, and everyone should be trained in CPR and how to use those. So, it just it makes a lot of sense, and it's a good opportunity. I think I'm curious how they're going to implement it, the details, the fine print around that, whether it becomes a part of, I assume maybe the regionals level, right?
Yeah, it should.
Because
I think any live competition that is affiliated with the season should absolutely have to do this. And if it works, if you do it 10,000 times and it works once, then it's worth it.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the geofencing thing, because this is the one thing that I do not like. And it's just because
I don't know how I feel.
That's okay, good, because maybe you can talk me into your side here. And this just goes again because I'm just willing to die on this hill. Still believe that the best season structure we ever had was open regionals games. You knew, where you were going. You knew where you had to finish. Everyone had a designated regional that they were competing in, and the whole season was structured and made sense. I don't like chaos, unpredictability, and things that are tough to explain inside of a season structure, because I think it makes it harder for fans to connect with it, follow it, and to tell stories around it. I prefer a very linear path that is easy to understand. Like, I can explain, any professional sport, the major four, I can explain to you in probably less than 2 minutes, and you can grasp on to, okay, this is how this works. Because the more complexity you add to something like this, the more difficult it gets. And you're like, wait a minute, what? How can you qualify? I like geotargeting or geofencing just because it's very easy to understand. You live and you compete in this region, this is where you're going. You live and compete in this region, this is where you're going. Now, without that, we're going back to kind of the sanctional days where any athlete can go to any semifinal they want, assuming that they meet the qualification process, whatever that is, whatever those individual semifinals choose, as long as you obviously qualify, you can go. Now, I do understand the argument. This is the one concession that I will make for some of these maybe smaller qualifying events that don't have the opportunity to attract big name athletes to sell tickets. This is an opportunity for them to do that. So I am sympathetic to that, but from a structure part of the season, yeah, I don't like the chaos. I don't like you have multiple chances to compete. It makes more sense to me. It's more exciting when you go open qualification process, whatever the live qualification process is, that is geofenced. So every athlete, has their designated path, and then you all do the same thing to get to the games. But that's why I'm not a huge fan of this.
Yeah. And I would say that I've kind of shifted a little bit left and right on this, like kind of going back and forth over the years. And I think I'm starting to net out more so with your side, Sean. Like the more I think about it, the more I think specific to the CrossFit Games season, having that linear path where there's not a ton of variability and unpredictability as far as like your ways to get to the games. It just seems to make it a better product overall. I am all for, I think two things can be true. I'm all for trying to provide as many competition opportunities for athletes in the sport, but that doesn't necessarily exist within the CrossFit Games season structure itself. I think there are a million different ways and pathways to try and integrate with other events. And we've talked about with like WFP and other things to kind of do that. But I think if you're going towards the title of like fittest on earth and that specific path, I think that path should be a little bit more linear. And the more that I've seen athletes have the freedom to go to a bunch of different places, the less it feels like the stakes are real, if that makes sense. And this was one of my big gripes of the sanctionals era. It was, hey, we're in the final heat of Wadapalooza, and these are the top 10 athletes from all weekend. But the athlete in lane 8, who's currently in 7th place, they're the ones slated to get to the ticket. And if they and that ticket could go to anyone from 5th to 12th. And the point structure, depending on who falls out and who falls in, and the backfill process doesn't really make the stakes very real in that moment. It becomes very confusing, and dictating that to a viewer in a very like clean way, especially for new fans of the sport, just felt a little sloppy. It also makes it like the stakes don't feel as high when you're like, well, if they don't get it here, well, then guess what? They're going to be in Korea next week, San Diego the week after that, and maybe in Germany. And the secondary like issue with that is when you have athletes bopping around a bunch, it creates this like cascading effect of withdrawals and roster changes that makes it really hard to manage from an event standpoint. And I heard this behind the scenes all the time with events, basically being like, this is our athlete roster. I don't know if it's going to be our athlete roster next week and we're 2 weeks out, right? Because there's an event going on and 3 of the athletes that are on our roster right now are competing for a games ticket. And I know that if any of them get that ticket, they're withdrawing. And that just puts a lot of stress on the events. So, and, if you want to couple that with, another season-long point structure type thing, that's cool. That can be something different, and that can provide like all the different opportunities like to compete throughout the year like the WFP is doing on the tour side. But for the CrossFit Games, I like just like that linear path like you mentioned and lining up against people in your region that you are competing for to represent your region. It created badges of honor, right? Like if you came out of the Central East, it was like you're battle tested. Mm-hmm. SoCal back in the day had like all these studs that were competing in, year out. It created these storylines over years that people got excited to watch and see people go head to head. And then if an athlete moved, it wasn't really that big of a deal because it put them into that. They knew exactly what bucket they were going into, and the season sorted it out as such. So I think I've definitely gone back and forth at times, but I think I'm more in your camp now, Sean.
All right, Lauren, tell us why we're wrong.
I don't know that I'm going to convince you why you're wrong, because I think that all of those trump maybe my one counter argument, and especially with the consistency, the storylines, the like knowing who's going to qualify at each event and not having to cross-examine your notes from every other semifinal or, whatever we're calling them this year. But doesn't this allow for the strongest competitive field at the games?
I mean,
not necessarily.
I don't know. The other argument I'm sympathetic to, but not entirely, is the fact that, what if someone's injured on their semifinal weekend, or doesn't this is a fail-safe mechanism to allow people who can't, who couldn't make it. I get that, but that's sports.
But it happens, right? It happens in every sport. So that one, I hear that, but every sport.
And in that moment, an injured athlete is not one of the fittest.
Agreed.
So if we're talking about the fittest as a snapshot in time, like they do not meet that criteria, so they do not move on, and that's a harsh reality I believe at times. And I know I've probably definitely lobbied for athletes to have opportunities in that regard, but I don't necessarily agree that it creates the strongest competitive field, because there are athletes that have more means than others, mm-hmm. and sometimes it's a war of attrition, and so the mm-hmm. athlete with the biggest pocketbook to be able to go travel maybe gets the opportunity. That doesn't necessarily dictate that they are more fit, or in that moment, like you could argue that I thought that in regionals era, athletes were so hyper focused and training for that peak in that particular moment that the level of competition at regionals was a better filter than like the athletes kind of like patchworking themselves into shape throughout the year just to try and get a ticket, if that makes sense.
But the programming's not going to be the same at all of them, is it?
No, I don't. I don't know. That's a very good question. I'm guessing it will be some sort of hybrid thing again, to where it's like you got to have these 2 or 3 events, and then whatever else you're going to do.
And that's another part of it, right? Like
I think if programming was the same at all, you would see less people doing multiple ones.
Maybe.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But I thought standardized programming at the qualification stage actually bolstered the fittest on earth claim. Agreed. Right? And I think a lot of the experienced athletes liked knowing that when you stepped onto the floor at the games, everyone standing shoulder to shoulder with you had gone through the same filter and earned their way there through the same test.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like, hey, you did a 2-day event that had 5 events over 2 days and that got you your ticket. And I did, let's say the sanctionals era, I did, Rogue, and it was 12 events over 4 days. Like that's just it's a different caliber.
So different. Yeah.
So. And it's tough, right? Because I sympathize with the event organizers, right? Wanting to put their own stamp on things, wanting to create a brand identity for their event. But at the same time, it's like, all right, well, where's the balance point of like these events have an opportunity to create something unique on site, but also adherence to the season structure, I think long term will make everyone more successful.
And I think you bring up a good point about the events too. I mean, there's a very good chance that this is sort of a concession to those events to say, okay, we are asking you to assume the risk here. CrossFit is, as far as like the financial thing of putting on these events. So in order to do that, we have to make some concessions to allow you to have every opportunity to get the best field possible and the most popular athletes that's going to put butts in the seats at your event. So I fully understand that. Perfect world though. I like the geofencing. And when it comes to like, I know that DeHunt method wasn't perfect, but there was like a strength of field that then determined how many qualifying spots you got, which I think probably did a better job of getting a competitive field at the games.
And we didn't even use it long enough for it to really like sink hold, right?
Was that only 1 or 2 years that we did that?
Yeah, it was like 1 year.
1 year.
Oh, I feel like we should have lasted with that a little bit longer.
I feel like any method of that sort needs a couple of years for people to figure it out, 2, understand how to best implement it, and 3, to like just let the numbers kind of work themselves out. And I don't know. It's tough too, because you also have like events like, like Wilson Pack and Mac and Syndicate Crown. And it's like they're taking on a lot for CrossFit. You're going to tell them that they can't program a couple of cool events that they've shown that they've been able to do. That's a fair point. It's tough. CrossFit, stepping aside from the event and programming side of it creates a vacuum for a lot of people to fill. And I think we've struggled to find consistency in how we occupy that space as a sport.
Yeah. And I think this is, again, when you talk about what you like and what you don't like about a season, you're doing this in a vacuum and not considering all the other factors. And obviously that there are other factors that are at play here that make some of this stuff, we just can't do it because we have to make concessions to the events so that they can be happy, so that we can have in-person competitions. And it's not ideal, but it's the best thing we can do.
Yeah. And I do have a question, like when they say strict geofencing, because technically, like, how is that being applied? Because technically last year there were events that anyone could go to, right? There were ones that had geofencing, but it didn't apply
the events
across
determined.
the board. Yeah, some of the events had open, like we'll say open borders, I guess is probably the, for lack of a better term. So does that just mean that every event is open and now there's no strict geofencing coming from CrossFit, or it's just no strict geofencing from CrossFit and events can still determine that? Like, I feel like there's a lot of wiggle room within that, like that mandate that could really affect how it actually is applied. Yeah.
I'm efforting that. I'm trying to see if we missed that anywhere. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I haven't either. So that was kind of like my follow-up question.
I don't know. My guess is maybe it's shooter's choice.
Yeah. That's just tough.
I don't know. Okay, hang on. I'm
getting closer, getting warmer.
Yeah. I can't find that specific information, but I think, I mean, if you are going to do what is best, like allow the semifinal events to do what's best for them, you're going to allow them to make those decisions. Like, so they'll go open quarterfinals, and then that batch of athletes out of the quarterfinals will then, I guess, get to choose where they're going to go, because you can't enforce it for some and not have it for others.
Yeah, that's tough.
Okay. And then I like the last one. Obviously, we like that, allowing affiliates to buy bulk registration for their members, incentivizes them to get people to participate. That's really
cool.
I love that. Yeah. Anytime you can give anything back to the affiliates in the open for participation, all for it. So.
Hey, and shoot, like you could do some fun stuff with that, right? Like fun gym engagements where like, hey, you got 10 and like, people with the 10 people with the highest, attendance at class this month get open registration covered that we bulk purchased, right? it's cool participation incentives that you can work into the framework of what you do at your gym on a day-to-day, which is always fun, right? Get people more engaged.
Yeah. Okay. Next thing, let's talk about World Fitness Project. Tommy, you and I addressed this a little bit last week, but there's been some roster changes. Things are going on for their finals event. There's been a couple more. So what's the latest on that?
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned last week that I didn't think the withdrawals would be done. It was reported, and I believe we talked about it last week, but that Austin Hatfield withdrew. So did Jay Crouch. He withdrew as well, and Jay Crouch was replaced by Troy Clay. I believe there's more coming that haven't been formally announced, but I am not at liberty to reveal that. But it's, I mean, from what I've got on the back end, like talking to people and getting explanations, like most of them are just injury related, like wear and tear, and people like trying to recover and rest up. There's, a couple had family issues that obviously they need to attend to, and it all seems kind of reasonable. It's just unfortunate that it's coming at this point in time with this event, but you go back and the current roster still looks great as far as that it currently stands. You still have like you go down the men's roster: James Sprague, Roman, Dallin, Ricky, Justin, Colton, Vellner, Agnol, Noah, Guy, Chandler, Yella, Nick Matthew, Tudor Magda, Luca, Travis Mayer, Jack Farlow, Nate Ackerman, Chris Ibarra, Yona, Colin Bossard, BKG, Ty Jenkins, Danny Camacho, Tola, Julius Kaiser, Jeff Adler, Tommaso Pieri, Matt Gilpin, and Troy Clay. That's like, it's still a stacked roster and an awesome opportunity for people to continue. So I don't know. So I've seen some people make it a bigger deal than it needs to be. And I think the athletes are still going to show up and throw down, and the ones that do and do well are going to get themselves a contract for next year, which is cool.
That's the question I had now, is how do these withdrawals affect who ultimately is going to wind up with those 20 guaranteed contracts for 2026? Because it would seem like I guess some of these athletes, they already have them locked up. Is there any way that they can lose them, or are they like putting that at risk?
There are. I mean, so the most likely a few, like there were some athletes like Hopper and Hatfield that were pretty high up in the standings in the top 5. They, assuming that, like, it would have to be like a pretty wild scenario, and they may even have a top 20 spot locked up already, just by virtue of everything that's happened. But the point system is doubled at the finals, so there is a high likelihood for a lot of shifting within that top 20. What it does is, if they lock in the spot, it just reduces their guaranteed contract for the next year based on the payout structure for the guaranteed contracts being based on this year's standings. So, the person in 11th after this year gets a higher guaranteed contract next year than the person in 18th. The flip side of that is, if you're someone like Hopper or Hatfield and you feel pretty confident, like, hey, I can show up and do really well, then you can out earn that contract anyways.
Yeah. Okay.
So, which it's a guaranteed minimum, not a cap. So I think that's maybe part of the business decision that's going on. Like, hey, I need to get my body healthy. I'm pretty confident I'm going to end up in the top 20. They may have even worked the math out to know that they're going to get there. And then I can out earn my contract next year anyways, and have a better idea of how I can attack the year with a fresh body in mind, after the holidays. So.
Okay, cool.
Do you guys think that next year we'll see more athletes either pick the game season or pick the WFP season, now that we have a full calendar almost under our belt and we're seeing, and again, some of it is inevitable, but we're kind of seeing the results of what happens when athletes compete that often in person?
It's hard to say, right? Because, some athletes didn't do the game season for personal reasons, for others for physical body, health reasons, just because of the timeline. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something similar to we did this year. But then again, like, what happens if suddenly CrossFit sells and the new owners come in and make changes and make their pitch to the athletes that stepped away, like, hey, we would love to have you back, and they make a convincing argument.
I think it depends on the schedule.
Yeah, that's tough, and I do think we're starting to see for the first time in a long time, maybe first time ever, we're seeing the true like upper max of how much athletes can compete at a high level. And it's crazy because if you go back to the sanctionals era, there were some athletes that were there at multiple events. Like the funny part is the athlete I watched compete most in person at sanctionals era was Will Morad, the director of WFP. I saw him in Reykjavik. I saw him in Brazil. I saw him all over the globe. He was traveling around as he was chasing a ticket. I saw him at the MAC. It was just, and he was always right there. And he eventually got his ticket. And then he finished, he didn't actually get to do the standard, but he finished top 10 at the games. But now we're looking at, at tacking on 2 to 3 high level competitions on top of that schedule. And I'm sure there'll be a readjustment and a kind of recalibration once we get to 2026.
Yeah, agreed. Okay.
I mean, I was going to say other sports are still figuring that out. Like there's load management is one of the number one kind of thorns in the side for the NBA right now.
Yeah, and the NFL. 16 games is a lot. 17 is aggressive. I know they cut this preseason down, but hell, those guys didn't play in the preseason anyway. But yeah, you're right. Like it's wear and tear on these guys. And it's a tough balance to find because you obviously want to give people money making opportunities to compete, fans to have fun, but you got to protect your assets as well. All right. Well, speaking of assets, last week there was some noise that was made by a post by Matt Davis. You guys don't know who Matt Davis is. He runs Hybrid Media, I think. I've been on his podcast for a really good dude. Covers mostly high rocks, but published an article where he quoted Wade Diebner, who is partnering with a guy by the name of Mark Mastroff, who I believe used to own 24 Hour Fitness. He's owned part of the Sacramento Kings. I mean, this guy is legit resources here. And basically the quote is that Diebner confirmed that he and Mastroff had entered into a 90-day exclusivity window to negotiate with CrossFit to buy it. Barbell Spin has a really good sort of summary of everything that happened. We mentioned that last week. So if you want to kind of go back and just recap that, that's fine. So what I did is I reached out to Wade Diebner. He's here in the Bay Area. I reached out to him. He agreed to talk to me, sent me his phone number, and we had a 90-minute conversation last Friday as I was driving from San Jose to Sacramento. That was totally off the record. But he did give me permission to talk about some things. And so here's what I will tell you. Like, he and Mastroff are legit. They are interested, and they do believe, and I want to stress, believe that they are in an exclusivity window, because I'm saying that because I'm getting other things from other people. They have resources. They have a plan with what they want to do. I think some of the things that you would hear, you'd be like, yeah, that's good. Like they have intent to market, to do marketing. Now, I know if you asked 10 different affiliate owners, hey, do you think CrossFit should do more marketing? They'd all say yes. But then if you said, okay, what does that look like? You'd probably get 10 different answers. So just because the intent is there to spend the money on and do it doesn't mean it's something that everybody is going to be, this is
gung-ho.
Exactly. It just depends what it looks like, right? This is a very unique community. I think we all agree we want to get the word out. We want to get more people into affiliates. We want to change more lives. I think that's the intent with what they want to do with their plan. It'll just be very interesting to see if this comes to fruition, and if they do buy it, like what that plan is going to look like. But they are very, they are legit. Like, this is a legit thing. They believe that they are in the lead to buy it. They believe they have the resources to do it, and they have an offer to make it happen. And beyond that, that's really all I can say about that conversation. But he was, Wade was very open with me. Really enjoyed the conversation. He is someone who clearly believes in, making people healthier, the power of CrossFit to transform lives, that methodology and what happens inside affiliates and how great, of a thing that is. In our conversation, honestly, we spoke very little about the sport. It was mostly about the affiliates and how to support them, how to make them more successful businesses, how to give them more opportunities to make more money, affect more lives, do more things like that.
Great.
So again, I think there's a lot of good there. It just depends on what the execution looks like and how they go about doing that. Now, what else I will say is that I've also talked directly to someone with a group who is interested in purchasing CrossFit, and they very much believe that they are still alive. In fact, that they are having conversations this week around continued negotiations. So that is what I know. I don't know if, sorry, I'm getting a spam call. I don't know if we're going, what that means, but I can tell you that, like I said, when I talked to Diebner, he was very convinced that this is a real thing, that we are in this window, we are in the lead, and we expect to get this done. This other group that I've talked to has sort of given me those same sentiments as well. Both have plans, both have things they want to do. Both are looking to make things better, but that is where we stand right now. I don't know if anything is imminent, but that is what I've been able to get by people who are directly involved in the process. I wish I could say more, but like I said, off the record, I take that very seriously, and I'm not going to betray that trust. So that's what I know.
Yeah. What's funny?
Staying alive. Yeah. That's all I could think right now of these companies.
It feels like I have so much more. I'll say this. It feels like I have so much more insight into where things are, yet also feels like we're at the exact same spot that we were 4 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when we said, "Oh, I wonder if they'll have the official sale by the time of the CrossFit Games"? Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were like, it would make sense. No.
Maybe by the start of the Open.
I feel like we are, I don't know. Given what I've heard from the people I've talked to who are directly now involved in this, I feel like we're a little closer to maybe having an idea of when it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it will be very interesting to see, especially now that we have, this is one thing I'll say. I don't think they're going to want to pull the trigger on a deal once the season starts. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I think you've got to get this done before 26.1 is announced. I just, because even though you have the schedule, right? If you make a sale before that, the new owners have an opportunity to come in and work within that framework that you have set, but still put their stamp on it. Where if you don't do that, and now you're like 2 weeks into the Open and now all of a sudden something happens, they're not going to be able to kind of guide that process. And if they do, it's going to be a really knee-jerk, I want to say knee-jerk reaction. It's going to be a very sort of a sudden reaction that can affect a lot of things. Mm-hmm. The closer you get to that, to go time, the less you can change it, because it's just going to affect way too many people.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So let me ask you this. Because this is the one thing, marketing. I hear you. We're going to do marketing. Great. What does that look like? And to me, marketing, I'll give you my answer first, finding a way to get outside the bubble. Let's go back to that video that was produced right after the games about the, F the quick fix and all that stuff and heart. I loved that. I think everyone really enjoyed that message. Did it get outside the bubble?
It's hard to say.
I don't know if it did.
I don't know what something like this. Sorry, go ahead, Tommy.
We're people whose algorithm maybe includes fitness elements, getting that on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, on ad spend on streaming services and things like that. That's the real question for me, right? Because I think if we're talking outside of the bubble, the way things are curated for everyone these days is that if you're even remotely interested in CrossFit, you're probably getting served up something, right? So how are the potential CrossFit ads and promotional things getting worked into other fitness adjacent areas that maybe don't hit that algorithm or don't hit those keywords, and is the search engine optimization, the SEO, such that it's hitting people that maybe are runners, or maybe interested in doing a 5K, or maybe have looked up a GLP-1, or have, done all of these things that are maybe taking the first steps into health, but are Googling Rogue Fitness and home gym stuff, and I just don't know the answer to that. Right. Like we'd have to talk to the marketing team, and, I sure as heck see a lot of ads on these streaming services, and, whether it's Amazon Prime or, Peacock or ESPN's new streaming service. It's like, can you get stuff there?
That would be what I would want. That's when I think you really start to make a difference.
Can you find a way? Because I think even Netflix is doing ads now. So it's like, if someone is watching, because they're trying to get into the live sports element, like streaming Jake Paul boxing matches and stuff like that. But if someone clicks on the Fit 100 reality TV series, that you don't necessarily need to be a fan of fitness to click on, just because when you get into those algorithms of Netflix and you're watching reality TV, you get served all kinds of weird stuff. Does something about CrossFit pop up?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think that it really would move the needle significantly to get ads on streaming services, whether it's just the people that don't pay for the premium Netflix or Apple Plus, and it is the one still with ads. I think that like, yes, while having them on Instagram, Facebook, Meta, TikTok, all of that is good, because we are so much very focused on our phones and doom scrolling throughout the day or at the end of the night. I also think that you take it to a streaming service, it opens up a bigger pool of a network to reach people outside of our specific bubble. Like, don't just put them on the fitness shows, put them on some of the random reality TV show that might not get everyone, but it might make a few people go, what's this? Then they click on it. Then their algorithm starts to change. And then you start seeing it more and more. And then eventually they're like, okay, my Aunt Susie has a friend of a neighbor who goes to CrossFit. Maybe let me connect with her. Now let me go into an affiliate with her, see how it is. And then it's just like that trickle down effect.
Yeah. I think the other thing that you hear a lot too, and I've heard this bandied about by different groups and different people I've talked to, is like the want or the desire to make CrossFit what they call more accessible. And I think that's where people get a little worried, because when you hear that, it's like, we're going to water down the methodology. We're going to start, doing X, Y, and Z. And I don't think that is what you want to do. I don't think you want to make easier and more like friendly. I like more like, just easier. Like, easier does not mean more accessible. I think what CrossFit needs to do, and I said this on another podcast, I think they need to lean into making the idea of elite more accessible. Is that even though you're not an elite athlete, you can be the most elite version of yourself, and going into a CrossFit gym is what is going to help you attain that. You are going to work hard. It is going to be different than anything you do. It is going to be tough, but going through that is going to make you elite. And it's not about being the elite CrossFit Games athlete. That's great, and we should celebrate that. But it's about being the elite dad of 2 who only has 3 days a week to work out and is trying to make sure that he has more time to play with his kids. Like, be the elite version of whatever that is. If you're someone who is, trying to just get out of, make sure you're a little more mobile and you can get into your kitchen cupboards a little bit better, or you play with your grandkids, be the elite version of that. I think that's the thing they need to make more accessible, not necessarily watering down the methodology and making it what I call less threatening.
But
you can always scale the workouts.
Yeah. I've never felt like anyone trying to, I'll say this, like, candidly, I've never felt that anyone trying to make CrossFit more accessible has meant to water down the methodology. It's always been like, how do we make people more aware of what this can do for you?
Agreed.
And how do we lower the barrier for you walking through the door into an affiliate?
Yeah.
How do we get rid of the stigmas and the things that prevent people from ultimately being like, maybe I should try that. Or, you know what, I'm going to go join that community class on Bring a Friend Day. That's what I've always felt like making it accessible is for. I've never, like, anyone who has a even moderately deep understanding of the methodology knows that you don't need to water down anything to make it accessible to people. It goes back to the scaling and the adjustment and finding, the differences in degrees, not type. That was part of the OG quotes and credos from Greg back in the day. I don't know. Like there are so many people that I feel like can learn what, like you, and this goes back to what Sean said, understanding that being elite can be a relative term, right? Mm-hmm. And I believe, and that this is my own personal thing. I've always felt like the Forging Elite Fitness tagline, an element that was very fundamental in the early days, and that it seems like they're starting to get back to, has always been a relative term. Like it's because the best version of myself on a global objective scale is never going to be as fit objectively as Matt Frazier was. But that doesn't mean I can't be an elite version of myself, right? Like Sean said, and there are other ways of being elite, right? Like I'll use this example. We had an athlete and former coach at our gym back in the day that like had a cup of coffee in the NFL, got some tryouts, was an amazing athlete. Mm-hmm. By all accounts, he was one of the most elite athletes in the gym. And in sport in general. But we also had someone that lost over 100 pounds with us, 120-ish pounds, and was well on his way to smashing that number every time he came into the gym. Mm-hmm. And I thought that level of elite commitment, I thought he had as much of an elite commitment to health and fitness and in its application on a day-to-day basis as anyone in the gym. And that's how you apply that relative term, right? Like, who's to tell me that a guy that lost 130 pounds isn't elite in his pursuit of fitness, right? Because he, now granted, he has to take ownership of of putting himself in that situation to begin with. But the way he climbed himself out and the obstacles he covered in doing so, I believe is right up there with anyone. And I think that's part of the message that has to stay.
Yeah. But don't you think the fear is from people, like when you get outside, and I don't mean that, when you get people from outside the community who look at this thing, who are like, hey, maybe we should buy this. I think the fear is that is exactly what they're going to do. It's that they're going to come in and we're going to water this down and we're going to make it all the same, and we're going to, drop it to appeal to a wider mass of people. Therefore, we have to make it easier and less threatening. We're going to take away the spirit. Like, I think that's a legitimate fear that people have in this community who really hold this methodology and what it can do close to their hearts.
Yeah, but also at the same time, like, some of that is just human nature, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we're afraid of change and newness and anything that comes in, right? And so, and it's been baked into us from the early days of CrossFit, when it was so anti and so like, counterculture, that like, be wary of people trying to come in and change that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like, and so to some extent I'm like, yeah, we do, but also like, how much of our own human nature and just being hesitant to change prevents us from actually finding the right solution.
Yeah. Agreed.
Like I like, you were right there. We sat in Rose's living room and interviewed him. Did you feel like he was trying to water down the product or actively like tear down the beauty of what CrossFit was? Exactly.
Yeah.
But depending on who you talk to, they'd probably demonize the hell out of him and say that he did that.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and not everyone's going to be successful.
Too, everybody has this almost sense of ownership. We feel so deeply attached to this because we all know how much CrossFit has changed our lives, whether it's we've lost weight, we've become healthier, our cholesterol has improved. You can pick up your grandkids, or maybe you've just even made your best friends in this space. You've had people change your lives, including the methodology that I think people feel so within CrossFit that it's theirs, that any change, regardless of who the owner is, people are going to feel threatened in a way, because nobody wants change. Everybody just, wants to do CrossFit in the way that it's changed our lives, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And some of it also feels, I don't, maybe oxymoronical a little bit, because you go into any one affiliate and you're not going to have the same experience, right? Mm-hmm. The core of the methodology stays the same, but its application and ability to shift and mold to each specific community can be unique in a way that provides the best service to those people. That's the beauty of it, right? But I think that principle can also be held true as long as the core of the methodology stays the same. People can kind of figure out, all right, how do we best guide this company to make sure that it works for the largest amount of people without, like you said, without watering down the methodology. But it seems weird to me that anytime someone starts to take a slightly adjusted spin, we get up in arms about that, when really we're used to that every single day in affiliate, right? Mm. Yeah. And in the same way people get territorial about their affiliate and how their affiliate programs and operates relative to other people, I think we're seeing that like on a bigger scale when it comes to changes in ownership and leadership and things like that in the space. And I don't know. I would argue that you can just look at the success of so many different gyms and affiliates across the world, and the differences between them with one common thread binding them all. And the same can be done on a higher level with the company and the direction moving forward.
Well, here's what I'll say before we move on to PRs and no reps. The people that I've spoken to who are interested in this all are coming in with the intent of making it better.
Great.
No one's like, we're going to buy this and tank the shit out of it, and then we're going to, like, that's not what they're doing. They truly believe that what they are going to do and what they want to do and the resources that they are going to put behind it are going to make this better. We shall see. But I don't get any ill intent about, we're going to come in and we're going to make this, we're going to take it and we're going to make it just like your everyday Globo gym, and people are going to have to be fine with that. And that's what we think is the best thing. Like, that is not the sense I get from anybody. Like, we're going to come in, we understand what this is. We want to make it better. We want to put resources behind it. Here's how we're going to do it, X, Y, and Z. Here's what people might like. Here's what they might not like, but this is why we think this thing they don't like is going to be best for the whole thing moving forward. So that's where we're at, and we'll see what happens. Yeah. But
and if you know your history, there was a very real threat of that in the early days around 2014, if you remember, with Anthos Capital, there was that as a potential real issue that was avoided. So that the people that were around for that or have that still in their mind,
still some trauma over that for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Do we have any community support we need to get to right now?
I have not gotten any.
Okay.
I did. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I missed one that was that got sent to the wrong place, and that already happened. But yeah.
Well, if you guys have any community support, anything you want us to help you get the word out on, please send it to us via our personal Instagram accounts, our Talking Elite Fitness personal account. Give us as many details as you possibly can, because we want to make sure that we get the help to where it needs to go as quickly as possible. One thing I will say, it's like, look, the holidays are here. Thanksgiving we're recording this on Wednesday. Thanksgiving is tomorrow. Maybe you're listening to this on Thanksgiving, or as you drive to your loved one's house. This is a tough time for a lot of people. So check in on your folks. Just because you're happy and you're with your family, there are people out there who don't have that opportunity and going through some tough stuff. So just check in on your people, make sure they're okay. All right, that's all I would ask. Be supportive of each other. So PRs and no reps. Anything? Anybody got no reps? I'm going to know.
No rep.
Go ahead.
So one of the best things we got, in my opinion, during the pandemic was 6 feet between people.
Yeah, the lines seem less crowded. You have fewer space invaders around you.
No, see, I feel. Now I'm getting a spam call. Hold on, now it's connected with my headphones. Okay. Oh my gosh, what's happening?
I can still hear you fine.
Yeah,
okay, you can. Okay. We need to go back to at least 3 foot minimum.
Agreed. In a line,
if
absolutely.
I can feel you breathing and I can feel your body presence behind me, you're too close. You're too close.
Yeah. I had someone spit on my shoes in Hong Kong.
Ooh.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Let's compromise. We don't have to be 6 feet. Let's go to 3.
Yeah, but 3. 3 is
I subconsciously do it anyway now. Like, someone's in line, I give them like a wide berth. And some places I go to still have the markers on the floor about, hey, stand here. They still remind you. I agree. Let's bring that back. That was one good thing. We don't need to be up on everyone's business. We're all going to get to the front. Don't worry. We're going to the same spot. All right, Tom, you got a no rep?
No, actually, it's pretty good week, guys.
You had a great week. That was amazing.
Cowboys beat the Eagles.
Biggest comeback in team history for the Dallas Cowboys.
I know. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to no-rep Tim Paulson because he's a Philly fan.
Okay, that's fair.
Hey, he does, like, in Tommy's defense, Tim does get a little, and Nico, every time the Eagles do well, you are likely to get a message from them.
Always. Tim and Nico, take that. Sorry, Tim, you have a beautiful family and awesome parents and just a wonderful life. I'm going to no-rep you because your team just gave up 24 unanswered points to Dak Prescott and the Cowboys.
Exactly.
So that's my no-rep for the week.
I'll PR. I'm going to PR Matthew Stafford for his 30 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. MVP.
Oh my!
Come on, give it to him. Nothing.
It's going to be the MVP.
Nothing. I don't want to jinx this, but nothing would make me happier than to see my team raise the Lombardi Trophy in Levi Stadium. That would just I can't be still my beating heart.
You know that like the there's like that visual meme of it shows Vince McMahon getting more excited and at the end he's like tilted
absolutely
back. It's like Matthew Stafford 30 touchdowns. It's like he holds the MVP trophy and then it's the Super Bowl trophy in Levi's. That would be it. Levi's is the Niners stadium, Lauren, if you were unaware.
That would be
thank you.
A rival stadium. It would be like the Cowboys raising the Lombardi in the Eagles. Lincoln.
Oh yeah, hell no.
So I was actually, it's funny, I was going to PR your Rams because I think they're the best team in the league right now.
They're playing like it. Like, I don't want to jinx it. It's only week. I mean, we got plenty of football left, and no one remembers who was the number 1 seed at this point last year. So they got a lot of football left. But I'm liking what I'm seeing.
And if you remember, at the beginning of the year, there was like the thought that
Matthew Stafford would not even play.
He was like on some like magical clear table, like getting treatment in like a hyperbaric chamber upside down.
They cloned him. That's what happened. Yeah, they cloned him. So I don't care.
Back. Yep.
Do what you need to do. Yeah. So
he's all right. Got like an extra eyelid somehow. I do have one PR. I want to PR floor naps.
Floor naps.
Floor naps.
Floor naps. Oh yeah. Thanksgiving Day.
Elaborate.
You have depending on when your family eats. If your family eats relatively early, let's say 2 or 3, the middle game of the NFL ends, and there's like a nice little window in there before the next game where you can just lay on the floor, all swollen and greased up with turkey gravy, and just take a nice floor nap right before the NFL evening game starts, and it's one of the best naps of the year. I personally won't be able to do that because if I lay down, my son just runs over and jumps on me now, which is fantastic. But
enjoy that.
For all you youngins, enjoy it.
Yeah. All right.
Floor naps.
Everyone have a great Thanksgiving. You got a PR? Lauren?
I will PR Stranger Things. Guys, I'm almost caught up. Yeah. On every flight, why are you laughing, Sean?
Just because it's like, you know what I'm going to PR? Breaking Bad. Have you seen this? Breaking Bad? It's a great show. Oh my God. Yeah.
I saw it on my top 10. It's on this hot,
I just happened to just get into this. Yeah.
Yeah. I just got into it. I'm binging through. I'm not going to be caught up by the time the new episodes start, but I won't be far behind. This
week.
Wait, the new episodes start this week?
Yeah, their last season. Half of them, I think, dropped this week, and then the other half in December, or maybe it's in 3 parts.
Well, that's huge.
Hold on.
That's why I started watching it, so I could be relevant here.
All right.
So the season premieres tonight.
Oh,
as we were recording.
No way.
5 p.m. Pacific.
I'm in.
Oh yeah, I won't be ready by then.
All right, sweet.
No spoilers. Spoilers.
Let's go. Okay.
I've been reading some fan theories.
I don't read anything.
I don't know if I love it or not.
I don't want to hear it.
But
don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it.
You know what? You know what I want to say?
Spoiler-free zone.
If you've never seen Stranger Things, this is going to be a spoiler. So don't end now.
So the 4 people that haven't seen it globally.
Yeah.
Why did they kill Bob out of all the people to kill?
Because it hurts the most.
But like
that's
Bob
why.
was so good. I can't even remember the woman's name, but I remember Bob's name. Bob was so good for her.
Yeah.
And the best thing that happened.
You knew that guy was dead from the start.
Knew Bob.
You knew that guy was going.
I thought he was going to be the hero.
You killed a guy to give you the most emotional impact. You killed a guy that everyone loves. But it makes it the hardest to think. He's like, this guy, oh man, it makes it more tragic. If he was a jerk, he
gets the biggest bang for the littlest buck because he doesn't have a multi-season anchor to the storyline. Yep. And you knew it would, and it's a recognizable actor, Sean Astin.
Yeah, he was great.
It was like, you're like, oh, he did.
Yeah.
Oh, he really did.
Yeah. No,
I was like, maybe he comes back to life. Maybe they got like a poison shot, something that will revive him. I don't know.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he did. Hey, it's science fiction though, so you never know. You never know. But yeah, you never
know.
He's dead.
What season?
Maybe he'll come back in season 5. I'm on season 4, like halfway through, so I'm close.
All right. Is it? Because season 5's coming up, right?
Yeah, season 5.
Eddie is Eddie's one of my favorite characters. Like when they're looking for music, everyone's like, "We need music, and he pulls out the Iron Maiden tape. He's like, nothing. He's like, "This is music." I'm like, "Yes, you're damn right, Eddie. That is music. Thank you. It's a great album." All right. All right, well, that'll do it. So, enjoy Stranger Things and enjoy your Thanksgiving, everybody. And again, check in on your people, all right? Make sure everyone's doing well. Please be safe. Enjoy your time with your families. And that's it. For Lauren Khalil and Tommy Marquez, I'm Sean Woodland. Take care of each other. Be better. Enjoy the holidays, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Like a kiss at the start of a first date. If it's good, it's good. I don't want to wait. When the feeling's right, I'm taking it.